Hello and welcome to this ET Now special. I'm Nayantara Rai. Guess where I'm coming to you today from? The corporate headquarters of Bira. We can't drink beer, not allowed on Indian television, but I am going to be in conversation with the guy who started it all. Ankur, welcome to ET Now.
Thank you so much, Nayantara. Pleasure to be here.
You're turning 5, 5th birthday. What's the ride been like?
It has been unpredictable and insane. I think combination of that. What a ride. We could have never imagined we'd be here 5 years from when we started. So we're having a lot of fun.
And you really took on the big guys, you know, the big guns. You kind of spearheaded the whole craft beer IPA movement in India. How crazy were you that you thought back then that you were going to take on the Vijay Malias, the Sam Millers, the Kingfishers of this world?
I don't think we ever designed for that. So I think the original ambition was very humble. We wanted to execute in Hoskas Village. We wanted to be in 30 restaurants, and that's all we were sort of game planning for. And with all of the organic love that we sort of had with respect to the beers and the big vacuum that was there, I think our ambitions have sort of grown. Now, of course, we feel that we can really execute at a very large scale, and that's what we're going after.
So how big are you now, and what's your market share? How many cases you're selling, etc.?
So we'll cross about $100 million in revenue this year. We will be 2.5% value share of the entire beer country. We're in our key states.
And that's the organized one, right?
That's the organized one. But also in our key markets like Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, we would have a 15 to 20% market share of the premium beer market. So we're doing okay.
You're doing more than okay. So being so humble. What's your valuation at? You said you're doing a top line about $100 million.
So the last capital that we raised was in 2018, and so can't disclose the valuation because of confidentiality. But yeah.
Are you going for another fundraise?
Not at this point. Yeah.
So tell me, you have all these ambitions. How many cities do you want to be in? And I don't know if a lot of people know. You started off by getting all this beer in Belgium, and then you shifted your facilities to India. Why did you do that, and what's your game plan?
So I think originally when we started out in 2015, February 27th, 2015, we just could not find a great facility or even talent to brew the kind of beers that we wanted to brew in India. So what we said was, instead of delaying the start, let's use a manufacturer who does this well in Belgium. We started importing product. In 2016, we were able to upgrade one facility in Indore, also hire the right talent to brew our beers, and that's when we transitioned production, which is I think October 2016 when we started producing in India. And over the last 5 years, we've now commissioned 3 additional facilities, so a total of 4 facilities. We have production capacity of about 2 million cases a month, which can get us to about 8% volume share of the entire country.
So you're producing 2 million cases a month. You're in how many cities now?
So we're not producing 2 million cases. We have production
facility to do it
for 2 million cases. We're now in 400 cities actually. So there's been a big ramp up over the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Especially after we commissioned our breweries in Andhra Pradesh and Mysore. So we're going really deep into Bharat, as they say.
So you're going deep into Bharat, and do you think you'll have to maybe come out with a new kind of taste for Bharat?
No, I think we launched Boom, which is really sort of leading the charge when it comes to smaller towns and cities, which is a high alcohol beer, but also very, very flavorful. So it's a Munich lager and so on. So I think our bet was that consumers everywhere have the same taste buds, and consumers can make out the difference between average tasting beers and great tasting beers.
But there's something called acquired taste when it comes to alcohol.
And so it's almost a bridge, right? So you have sort of incremental baby steps that you want the consumers to take and start appreciating flavor. And then once they get used to it, they take a bigger, larger step and maybe go with something more extreme and so on and so forth. So that's the idea. Yeah.
So when you also do that, who does your R&D? Like, do you taste all the beer? Like,
I taste a lot.
How did it start? Like, did you say, I want this kind? Like, was it a benchmark you had in your head that I love this beer and my beer's gonna taste like this?
I taste a lot of beers, as you can make out from my size.
No, I'm not getting into this. I'm not falling for this.
But we have a brewmaster. Originally, when we started out, we really did not have the talent to design a beer, so to speak, and so we worked with research companies, literally research labs in Belgium and Germany to make our first beers. And we had this sort of benchmark. We said, okay, we want to make a beer in that particular beer style, but we want it in a manner which is very, very Indian, and so on and so forth. So there was a lot of tasting, iteration. We threw away a lot of beer. We made a lot of beer. We threw away a lot of beer. We drank a lot of beer. But finally, we arrived at the right taste. And I think that process continues, but now in a much more scientific way and much more internal, because we recruited a new brewmaster about a year and a half ago, Thomas Hartman, who was earlier the global innovation brewer for AB InBev, based out of New York. And he leads our product development team, develops beers. In fact, this year we're launching a lot of new beers. So
Just give us a sneak peek. What kind?
I think lots of exciting kinds. So we'll have to wait and maybe.
Give us a sneak peek. You're turning 5.
Well, we're doing a sour, which
Okay.
could be super exciting. We're doing a West Coast style IPA, something that craft beer aficionados really want us to do, and so we're doing that, and a bunch of others. So some also very interesting styles that have not been seen before.
So now, you look at what you're doing. Your last fundraiser in 2018.
Yes.
You must be in fundraising drive.
Not really.
No?
Not at this point.
You still got all the capital?
We have all the capital, and depending on how the next sort of few months pan out, we may decide to do something, but not at this point.
So Bira's turning 5. I'm going to be very unladylike and
Yes.
ask you, Ankur, how old are you?
I'm going to turn 40 this year, unfortunately.
Okay, so at 35 is when you
Yes.
started Bira. What did
Yes.
you do before 35? How did
So I
it
got
happen?
into the beer business when I was still 29, and I was
You did R&D for 6 years?
I pretty much, I call
You
that.
did R&D for 6 years?
Exactly. My mom was really disappointed.
Yeah.
So,
Did she fund your R&D?
She did actually. She owns a big chunk of my company because
Okay.
of that.
Is she the boss?
She's pretty much the boss.
She gives you pocket money?
She has stopped doing that now, but she sustained me for a long period of time.
Yeah.
But essentially, 2009, I got into the beer business, started an import distribution company, importing some of my favorite beers into India. And I call that period the most expensive focus group in history, because a lot of what I was importing, I was just not able to sell.
Yeah.
But learned a lot about the consumer, learned a lot about the trade, and I think applied all of those learnings into creating Bira 91.
And what about the branding? I want to talk about that because you really built a brand that people recognize. And you had to do it in a sector which is not allowed to advertise, is not allowed to market. Of course, you all have surrogate advertising and all of that. That must have been really challenging.
I think we always sort of describe ourselves as creative and playful. And the attempt right from the get-go was, how do we bring in, when we looked at the beer shelf for Indians, we saw that there was really no choice for Indian consumers, neither on taste nor on brand. You had the same standard lagers, you had your strong lagers, you had your sort of milder lagers, you had a brand that was
in the
Kharras.
Cheka.
You had a brand that for every young Indian was their dad's beers, and you had all of these international brands that were communicating to Indians drinkers, because we are highly respected in Denmark or in the Netherlands, and while you're at it, pay premium for us. So we said that there's a big opportunity to create a brand that was premium, that was flavorful, but also unapologetically Indian. And when you think about India and consumer brands in India, the typical way of doing premium in India has always been, I will add a BERG next to the word so it sounds German, or I will anglicize the brand name. And we said the consumer today has a lot of pride in their own identity. They are willing to pay premium for something that is from India. And we really want to sort of expand on that. And so we chose a name that was short, easy to remember, fun, clever, also a hat tip to India, but also sounded phonetically Indian. And the attempt was always, it should sound cool in a New York City. But also it should sound cool in a Raebareli if you ever went there.
Okay.
And so that stretch was really important, and that's why Bira 91. 91, as you know, comes from the country code for India, and so on. So it's and again with the mascot, when we looked at the category, it was so boring. We almost said, this
You don't do 3,000, 5,000.
3,000, 5,000, gold foil, bright colors, red, and so on. Red and black being codes for the category. We were almost like, this reminds me of a cigarette packet, right? So, and it's not by accident, because when you think about global beer branding, it really took off in the 1960s, which was the Madison Avenue era, big television ads, Madison Avenue agency sort of designing consumer products and so on. So probably the same agency that designed a Marlboro designed a Budweiser. And so that's why you see the similarities, right? And that was sort of replicated across the world. So there was really no innovation around imagination or playfulness and so on. And we said, let's bring that into the category, and that's why the monkey.
That's what the monkey. And do you think you'll stay with the monkey forever?
Absolutely. It's a swoosh.
91, of course, with the Indian code, the international code. Do you have global ambitions?
We are in international countries. We're in 10 international countries right now. Mostly, instead of countries, I like to call them cities, because it's largely around large cities where there's a big Indian diaspora. And we feel that the Indian diaspora really is coming out on its own, where they are becoming part of the mainstream in several markets. So much like how, let's say, a Guinness relied on Irish bar owners in New York City or Boston to become a global brand, or Corona relied upon the love from Latin Americans to become an international brand, we are going to rely upon love from the Indian diaspora to hopefully become a global brand.
So you'll always be an Indian brand that's going global, is the sense I'm getting, because you're going to be targeting the NRIs, Indian diaspora.
Exactly. We call our brand Imagined in India for the World, and that's sort of the ethos that we want to sort of develop. So
that's great to hear. By the way, 18 Hours motto is Rise with India, so you're a Rise with India candidate. Will you only stay in beer?
Pretty much. I think that's the only thing I know. And
How many liters of beer do you drink in a day?
How many liters of beer do I drink in a day? That's a tricky one. That's a confidential answer on a need-to-know basis only.
Okay. So do you drink liters of beer every day?
I drink some beer every day for sure. Yeah, I taste some beer every day.
Yeah, you taste, but okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite beer?
I love all kinds of beer. I always say there's nothing like bad beer. You can't call any beer bad beer. There's better beer, but all beer is good, or is a decent
How
beer.
polite.
Yeah, so I mean.
So what's your favorite beer at the moment?
Favorite beer at the moment, I'm into sours right now, so I've been tasting a lot of sours.
And hence that's why you're getting the sour
Part of the
beer.
research.
Yeah. Do you drink any other kind of spirits?
I'm an equal opportunity when it comes to alcohol. So I enjoy my whiskey every now and then. I enjoy my rums every now and then. I've been very excited with all of the new gins that have come up in India, Greater Than, for example, and so on. So,
are you looking at that?
No, not to produce, to consume for sure.
But you're not looking at ever being in the business of not beer at the moment?
No.
It'll only stay that? Yeah. Why?
Again, as I said, that's the only thing that we know. And as
you know gin, you know everything else on a need-to-know basis.
I know as a consumer, I mean, I can differentiate, but that's it. I don't know anything beyond it. Yeah.
Do you look back at the last 5 years and say, wow, look what we've done? Because I don't think anybody 5 years ago would have ever imagined that there could have been a Bira, right?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of emotions and thoughts. So one, yes, when you look at this in hindsight, and what we were thinking of doing in, let's say, 2014, 2015, when we were creating Bira 91, I don't think we ever thought that we would get to this place so quickly. But I think equally, when we look at the next 5 years, we're like super excited, because we almost feel that we are literally at the ground floor, and this is the beginning, or almost the beginning, of a very, very large company and a large franchise. So
what is it? What when you say large franchise, large company, what is your vision?
So I think our ambition is to become the beer of choice for this generation of Indian consumers worldwide, and we feel that we have a real opportunity to become that for this generation. So that's what we're executing on, which is a large ambition.
And you did start a trend of a lot of others getting into craft beer. Trendsetter?
Not really. I think there was a lot of lack of belief, I would say, 5 years ago, in not just in beer but across consumer goods, that you could really challenge incumbents. I think we feel fortunate that we've played a small role in validating that you can actually win against some very well-established incumbents.
Global giants.
And giants, global giants with lots of sort of generations of credibility and so on and so forth. And I think that's sort of very liberating in a way, because it also allows us internally to do more, because our confidence is growing, and hopefully some of the newer guys also derive a little bit of strength from that and say, okay.
But do you ever look at inorganic growth? Do you look at the new craft beers and say, I can drink that up, gulp it down?
Not really. I think in craft and in food and beverage, the founders are so intricately linked with the stories that they're telling. Once you remove the founder away from the story, it almost becomes invalid. So it doesn't make sense for anybody to acquire brands, in my view.
So if I could ask you that, let's take beer out of the equation.
Yeah.
Let's take out the Heinekens and
Yeah.
the Kingfisher Ultras and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
The new craft beers out.
Yes.
Which one do you like? Or which one do you like more, since there's no bad beer according to you?
Out of craft, or so? What's the question? So
Take out the biggies. I mean, look
Okay.
at the new brands that are coming up. Which one has got your attention?
So I think lots of these guys are doing fantastic work. So I would say Kati Patang is doing really good work. I really like the White Rhino IPA too. Some of the brew pubs in Bangalore are doing really good work. Every time I'm in Bangalore, I stop by the windmills and get their IPAs because I really like that. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of these guys are doing fantastic work.
Okay, and did you guys like talk to each other, or?
I would say not enough. We need to start having conversations a lot more because all of us love beer. So yeah.
There's a lot of buzz that you're going to be involved in the IPL. You're going to be a big sponsor for the Delhi team. Is that true?
May or may not be, cannot confirm right now, but I think we'll make a big splash this summer.
So you got big plans for IPL?
Yes.
Is this the start for maybe Bira and cricket in a big way?
I think yes. So cricket, something that we are very, very aligned to, and starting with the ICC partnership, which is a 5-year partnership, which we started on with the England World Cup.
Yeah.
Very importantly, there are 2 World Cups which are in
You
this
got the 2020 coming up.
The 2020 T20, but the 2021 tournament is in India, which is a T20, and the 2023 big one is also in India. So lots of action that's going to happen around cricket for us, and again IPL becomes part of that journey as well.
So when this happens, if you do this, and in the boxes alcohol is
Yes,
usually served,
yes.
can it only be Bira? Like, is that part of the deal?
Typically, yes. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, we always want to have the right beers in the right boxes, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to look at a brand ambassador?
from the world of cricket, haven't thought through that. Possible.
So let's have a hypothetical situation. If there could be one person who could be the best brand ambassador
Yeah.
for Bira and in the world, who would it be?
I think we really believe, and I truly believe that
Take a name.
could be you.
Oh, thank you, but no, I'm not. Be honest. Come on.
No, I think again, I could take a name just to satisfy your question, but I truly believe that large brand ambassadors are passé.
Okay.
It's about really speaking to local sort of communities and somebody that they look up to. So, for example, in our world of ambassadors, we've got 7 that we've signed up, including Raja Kumari, who sort of speaks to a very different group of people. Prabdeep, who's like local Delhi boy, hip hop from Tilak Nagar and so on. We've got Arijit, who is a mixologist. We've got Vicky Ratnani, who's a very interesting chef. So none of these guys are like a Virat or a Ranveer.
Yeah.
They don't speak to hundreds of millions of people, but they speak very credibly to a very small group of people, which is great.
Has that been your strategy from day one, bottom up?
Absolutely. I think we want to spark more conversations, positive or negative, about the product and learn more. I think that's the idea.
With what about non-alcoholic beer?
I think that's something that's pretty important. So we are excited by the category. We think that there is an occasion and a consumer for it. And with developing something, hopefully we can release something by 2021.
Tap rooms.
Tap rooms on the horizon. I think could be in the future.
In Bangalore, Delhi, Bombay.
I think if I were to pick a city, I would pick Bangalore. But
Why? You're
let's
from
see.
Delhi.
I'm from Delhi, but I look
You
up
have faith in us, Delhi people.
Delhi is.
Bangalore shuts down earlier too. Their night times, right?
Yeah, I mean, Delhi. We need to find the right occasion in Delhi.
Tell me something. How much of your time goes into just the regulations that govern the alcohol industry?
I think less and less now. Because I have a great team, and they handle a lot of our sort of licensing and understanding of the engagement of the government and so on. Also, as we're becoming more mature as a company, we understand the regulations a lot more. So less and less than it was maybe 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I was spending a lot of time understanding what the hell all of these laws meant. So
You also had, sometimes they say there's something called a golden chance.
yeah,
And it happened to you.
yeah,
With what happened maybe with Vijay Mallya.
yeah.
The recent ban that you have in Delhi when it
Yeah.
comes to
Yeah.
AB and BAV
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can't predict it. Nobody can predict
Yeah.
it. But you've written it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the ban specifically was very unfortunate. I don't think that in any way is helpful for the sector and so on. I think the golden chance for us is the next 10 years. I would say that the last 5, just a preview of what's about to come.
Or it's just a preview?
I think so.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
So what else can we expect?
I think it's going to be a very interesting decade. 2020s is hopefully Bira 91's decade, at least for the category.
Who does the finances for you? You're a finance guy.
I am not a finance guy, and this is something that I'm extremely weak at, and I've got a great CFO in place, so he handles all of this.
So does he tell you that you need to IPO or you don't need to IPO?
We are beginning to have more and more conversations around what the strategic goal for the company should be. IPO is definitely one of those. Yeah.
Are you going to add more facilities?
We are as we go forward, but we just sort of commissioned 2 new facilities. So when we started 2019, we had production capacity of about 400,000 cases a month. When we exited 2019, we have production capacity of 2 million cases a month. So it's been a 5x ramp up. So for the next 1 to 2 years, hopefully we are good with facilities, but in the long-term plan, yes.
Are you profitable?
We're not profitable yet.
No? How bad
We're
is the
about
loss?
2 years away from profitability.
But you still got to burn a lot of cash because if you've got all these grand plans,
Yeah, yeah.
Or should I ask a CFO that question?
Next interview.
Next interview.
Exactly.
Okay, with that, Ankur, I'm going to say cheers and all the very best the next 5 years.
Thank you so much, Nayantara. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.